I just really love presentation. That's because I'm a visual person too. So thank you.
Of course, yeah. And well, I think we can start in 2 minutes. Um, so this presentation is going to be recorded. So this is something that you can also share with your folks. If they weren't here, it's going to be gifted to them, and their presence will be felt. Um, so maybe we should start. I'm so
We
excited to
just start.
start. Should we just start?
Yeah,
Okay,
let's start.
beautiful. Let's start. Yeah, I'm just, um, I'm in the spirit that this presentation is going to get to the hands of many, many folks. So um, I welcome their energy already as being present, and I welcome everyone that's here. Thank you so much for coming to um, this beautiful space that my beautiful brothers have created for us. So thank you for the colonizing for dreamers. Powerful, powerful stage you have created for us. So I always like to begin by centering ourselves and opening sacred space. I believe that the space of learning is one of opening, opening to things that perhaps are very new to us or maybe very ancient, and it's a remembering. So whenever I'm doing sacred learning, which this space was created for all of us to do our sacred learning, I like to create sacred space by opening it up with all of you. So what we're going to do is you're all going to close your eyes and just follow my voice. And if we can, let's straighten our backs. And if we can, put our feet on the ground or our toes, depending on how high our chair may be. So at this moment, we take one deep breath together, inhaling, exhaling. And we put our hands in prayer position and we start rubbing our hands together. As we rub our hands together, what we're doing is we're bringing energy into our palms. And we're bringing very specific energy that is all around us abundantly. And we're calling it forth into our palms by rubbing our hands together. We're bringing in the energy of clarity, because when we learn new things or remember ancient ways, we always want to receive this information with clarity. We're calling in the energy of love, compassion, and understanding, so that our minds, our hearts, and our bodies can go beyond any trauma, any blocks, and open to learning what is good for us, good for our lives, good for our visions, our dreams. We call in the energy of prosperity, of wealth, the knowing that we are always being taken care of, no matter what. We also call in the energy of Pachamama, Tonantzin, Mother Earth, to root us, ground us, sustain us. We call in the energy of divine intelligence and all that is love, joy, fun, play, pleasure. We call in our beautiful ancestors, the ones who have done the work in this realm or the next, to be fully present and fully in support of our most incredible, best, wealthy, loving, luscious, luxurious, comfortable, beautiful life. We call all of our master teachers and guides. We're going to take another deep breath. We stop the motion of our palms and we bring it into our chest, into our heart. Taking a deep breath, bringing it in, bringing in all this energy that we've called in through our hearts into our every cell of our body. And we know that when we open the sacred space, when we call upon these magical, loving powerful forces. They are already here. So we open up the sacred space for learning, for remembering, for decolonizing with a grateful heart. And together we say, and so it is. So it is. And when we're ready, we can open our eyes and come back into the space. Thank you. Thank you for your presence. This is so much fun for me. I am about to share and speak upon the subject that is the funnest for me, which is the theme of this time together is wealth, abundance, how we can decolonize our ability to receive and live our most incredible life. So I am gonna open my presentation. So thank you for your patience. And also, just so you know, I have ADD and I'm dyslexic. So if there's like some spelling, oh, ESL too. So if there's spelling mistakes and stuff like that, just ignore them and you can read it. It's all good. All right. So let me go to sharing the screen. Share screen. Here we go. There we go. Can you guys see my screen? Yay. Okay. Beautiful. So today we speak on the colonizing wealth. We are coming for everything our ancestors were denied. So why am I here? Who am I? Let me just move this little screen. There we go. Bear with me. Oh, okay. Can I move this? There's so many things going on. There we go. There we go. So who am I and what do I do? So I'm an Afro-Indigenous 5th generation medicine woman in the Andean Peruvian tradition. In my practice, I focus on the healing of generational trauma and the ways in which this trauma impairs our ability to thrive, create wealth, and have a positive impact in the world. One of the many ways that I do this, besides doing retreats and ceremonies and workshops, is I love talking about decolonizing wealth and abundance. So here we are. My story. So I'm Afro-Indigenous, and my ancestors got their wealth taken away by colonization and slavery. I've traced my background 6 generations, and 6 generations ago, we had a lot of land and we're very wealthy. And our land got stolen. And since that time, I've traced it. There's been struggle in my family with money ever since. I am a double immigrant, so I've immigrated from Peru to Mexico, where I grew up until the age of about 11. And then I immigrated from Mexico to the US. So I am first generation to graduate college here in the US. I'm also the first one in my whole family to make more than 6 figures, especially from doing what I love and supporting my community. Last year, I gave about $30,000 worth of scholarships to my programs. Why is this work important, and how is it trauma healing work? A lot of people do their personal work, and I'm really proud of all of us because we've been really committed to doing this work, especially this past year with COVID. I found that a lot of people in our community have been doing amazing work on ourselves. And one of the aspects I feel that has been missing in our community is doing this specific trauma work with wealth and money. So When we can heal our relationship with wealth, money in our hands is good for the community and the earth. Also, poverty is the worst violence inflicted. It could also be self-inflicted. So it's inflicted on us, and it's also self-inflicted, and we're going to see how. On BIPOC communities. So here we are. I gotta keep moving. I think I'm just turning this off. Sorry, I can't see you guys while I do this presentation. There we go. So many people in our community think that having wealth is the capitalist, racist, patriarchal way of life. I'm here to tell you that poverty is the biggest act of violence towards people of color. So how can we decolonize wealth? The way that we can decolonize is to gain certain understandings and shifting certain beliefs. So what if becoming wealthy in your lifetime is one way that you can heal your generational trauma? Me too. The screen is cutting something. So can I invite you to consider that our ancestors lived in wealth before colonization? So there's two things that are really important. One is that I find that a lot of my clients and also folks in my community, they really hate calendars. And they're like, I want to be spontaneous. I don't like my calendar. I don't like to be like held into time structures. And therefore that affects how we create wealth, right? So our ancestors were master timekeepers. So the Mayas and other indigenous cultures of Africa were known for keeping better calendars than our current Gregorian calendar. They knew how to utilize time and the stars to keep our communities fed and wealthy. Also, they were master accountants. The Incas and many other Mesoamerican cultures that we knew, there's been actual like codexes and texts that the Incas were able to store food. They had a process of drying food enough where they could feed the community for up to 15 years in case there were issues with the weather and agriculture, which meant that if there was no rain or they lost all their crops, the whole Inca Empire, which was from Peru, Colombia, I mean, it reached most of South America, would have up to 15 years to eat and never suffer a day of poverty. I really love this. I'm gonna bring this in. All of our indigenous cultures have had symbols of abundance. So this is a West African wisdom symbol, and it is a symbol of abundance. It's actually like these are kola nuts, which is a symbol of affluence, power, abundance, plenty, togetherness, unity. The kola nut played an important role in the economic life of Ghana, a widely used crop, and is closely associated with affluence and abundance. The symbol also represents the role of agriculture and trade in bringing people together. In the Yoruba tradition, whether it's Santeria or the way it's practiced in Brazil or Cuba, kola nuts are really important offerings. So our ancestors were always calling in abundance. We're always knowing that abundance and wealth is our birthright. So we need to talk about this. So one of the things that I've seen in our community that often happens is that poverty has been glamorized. Like it's a way that we identify that we're committed to. We've made it part of our identity to be poor. And so this is something I'm asking all of us to question. It's been part of my trauma healing so that I could have the beginning of a journey to generational wealth, right? So one of the beliefs is I have to be part of the struggle to be part of social change. So in this model, this belief model, you must stay poor to be in solidarity with our community who is also struggling. The other model is wealth, rich people, and money are the root of all evil, and I will never be like them. So some kind of version of this. So in this model, all members, right? So when I say all members, I mean like all members of our community, or most of the members of people you hang out with, or we hang out with, agree that we will never become wealthy because we don't ever want to be like them. And when I say them, like, you know, we can, there's a lot of them, but basically like the current models of colonizers. So my big question is, what if we could have new ways? When not choosing, there is confusion and therefore a lack of power, conflict. So part of, so I want to just bring up that clarity is power. And when we are walking with a little bit of confusion, that confusion takes our power away. So when we're not really clear about our relationship to wealth, we lose power. And therefore, when we lose power, we lose our ability to really go for what we want, right? So what if we could have new ways? What if we deserved and we could call in generational wealth? And when I'm talking about generational wealth is that we can have whatever in our own individual ways, right? The ways that make us feel good, make us be in alignment with source, with spirit, with our communities, whatever we call that wealth. What if we could have more than enough that we could also support our children, and we could support their children by supporting our children and teaching them new ways of being, right? So what if we can have a life of luxury and comfort and take care of both community and earth? Like what if, right? It is possible. Also, we are our ancestors' biggest dreams, and we deserve to have it all. So wealth and our ability to live well is our birthright. So we get to have it all. We really do. I really believe that. And the more I believe that and let go of any trauma that doesn't believe that, it shows up. It shows up, and the way is being made. So now I want to see you guys. Let me bring us back. Um, So I want you to write this down, because what we're going to do is we're going to open council. I really love opening council, so I'm going to talk about what that means. But I want you to think about, just close your eyes at this moment and put your hands on your heart. So let's just take a deep breath. This was a lot of information. Maybe some of this information isn't new to you. Maybe it's something you've been resisting, or maybe this information is new to you. And so we need to just take a deep breath so we can integrate. So let's all take a deep breath. And as you're closing your eyes, I want you to think of your first memory with money. Whatever that is. What is your first memory with money? And open your eyes. I am gonna stop the share because I want to come back to our gallery, and I can see all your faces. Okay, there we go. Beautiful. Welcome, Brett. Okay, there we go.
Sorry, I'm
So
late.
somebody spoke.
I just said sorry, I'm late.
Oh, it's all good. Divine timing. So here we are. First of all, I want to open council. So what that means is that I am gonna open a space for all of us to share. Like, first of all, I want to know like what's present. I know the presentation was, you know, it was quick and like, right to the point, and there's a lot more I am going to speak on, but I want to make this time available. So if there's any questions or you were triggered in any way, or you were like, yes, that's how I feel. That's how I've been cultivating this knowledge within me, and like right on, whatever is coming up for you, I want to hear it. And the way that I open council is that everybody gets a chance to share. And I am going to support you. So if there's something that's coming up, I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm also a seer. So what this means is that when you're sharing and speaking, I get a lot of messages and I can see into whatever's going on that sometimes you may not see. So I can be very helpful to you. So take advantage of this opportunity. So welcome, Brooke. We're gonna just go ahead and just share. For the sake of timing, we end at 6:30, is that right, or 6? Okay, beautiful. So we have some good time. So I'm just gonna open it and then we're each gonna get a chance to go. So our first question is, what came up for you? Like what is present in you right now? Whoever wants to go first. I'm going to start calling people. River.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that pretty presentation. I appreciate that. And I thought about the first memory. The thing that popped into my head was my parents arguing around our dinner table. So that was something. It was just like, oh, this is my. If I can quickly recall, it would just be arguments around money. And I grew up in like the Rust Belt, and so it was like struggle was a part of what you were supposed to do with work. And you're supposed to keep your head down and not ask for much, and definitely don't get too big, or you're one of those people. You're not a part of the working class. You're above, and we don't want to associate with that. And so, like, make money, but not too much. And thinking, yeah, just a little bit of like my own frustration around my own business stuff and putting my offerings in the world, and people constantly being like, is this really serving the community that you want to serve? And always ask me to lower my prices, like or I don't know, it's more like activist anarchist kind of thinking of, or the circles that I have run in before where I struggle with that, where I'm like, I don't think you understand how my business actually works. And if I have a client, lose a client, it's actually a huge deal. And so I have to navigate money in this way. And I know it looks like a lot, but like, I don't think you understand how this is working on my end. So I've gotten really frustrated with that and just have had to navigate that. So sometimes, yeah, I feel like I shouldn't be asking for what I'm asking for. And yet what people see on the outside or the facade of the business, there's not a lot of understanding of what really happens behind. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Can I ask you a few things?
Sure.
Okay. So one of the things that you said is that your first memory is of your parents arguing about money. And then I didn't hear exactly where you grew up, but there was definitely, from what I hear, a sense of like those people that have money are over there and we are the working class. And this is how we operate, not like them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard you say that I'm going to ask you what your business is, but that you have a business and that you are interacting with certain communities. that are asking you, I don't know if it's constantly, but he sounded like constantly to lower your prices. So is that right? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So I want to know, one is what's present to you, like understanding that your first memory of money is your parents arguing about it. Like, how is that showing up in your life now?
I feel like I'm arguing with people about it still. So yeah, it's still an argument that I have with people. Yeah.
So you get into arguments with people about them paying you?
I don't know if I actually get into arguments, but maybe it's just more like this tension, or of if I'm providing a service, that it has to be, or I feel like I'm just being asked to like exploit myself as a business owner in a way. It's like you have to lower your prices in order to serve the community that you're trying to serve, but my prices are like the lowest I can go based on what I have to do. And so if I keep going lower than that, like, I don't know. Yeah, I have. So it just, yeah, I think there's just a lot of tension that I've been, and having to kind of prove myself, or feeling like I'm backed in a corner and I have to kind of fight my way through it, that I've been trying to shift this last year.
Okay. And so, let me think about that. I have a next question. Well, what is your business?
I'm a somatic sex educator, so I usually see people one-on-one and sometimes in workshops or groups.
Yeah, so what you do is powerful. You really do help the community. And you are committed to serving this specific community that you've been serving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's usually like queer folks. There's not always a lot of access to wealth, or that's what the story is too. So.
And so you have been having some issues about keeping your prices at a certain point. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, there's a few things that I want you to look at. One is serving is specific. I mean, there's ways to do this, right? Like I give our community scholarships, but my clients are, there's a big range of clients that I have. And so I have certain packages that are not, my community is not going to be able to afford it. And I'm okay with that because I provide scholarships so that they can, right? But that doesn't limit me from charging what I need to charge. So within your business, my invitation is for you to consider that you're limiting yourself to only working with your community, which is a community that at this moment is very limited in funds, right? And so you can still work with your community, but there's nothing wrong with opening up your services to a larger community that can pay, and then offer those services to the community that you love. Because what's happening right now is that, I mean, I don't know about your history, you haven't shared, but you're not taking care of yourself. Like you're not in a space of like feeling like, oh, I got the money that I need to get the things that I need, like to be in flow. Like you're not currently in the flow of money. Is that true?
Feels like that, yeah. And I've been trying to, but yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not in the flow, like you got to take care of yourself. You got to make sure that you're in the flow. And so that means that the system, how you're operating, is limiting your flow. And so if you want to offer flow to others, because, and I'm not just talking about financial flow, I'm talking about like their healing. I mean, the healing that you do for other people is really unblocking whatever's blocking them from whatever. It's somatic healing, sexual healing, right?
Mhm.
So that's about unblocking probably sexual trauma and whatever they have to heal to be in the flow of their sexuality, right? Which is like this incredible creative energy. And so if you are not in flow, it's really hard for you to teach or heal others to be in flow. Maybe not in money, but in their health, sexual health. So you gotta take care of yourself, your flow. And so I would invite you to look at your system. And obviously your community has already told you, like, I don't want to pay what you are wanting to charge. So therefore, create maybe 2 scholarships a month for 2 people or whatever you feel comfortable for, and be okay with the prices that you're charging and open it to the larger community. It's totally okay to get paid for what you do by who can pay. And then make sure that you are making your teachings and your wisdom and your gifts available to the community that you love. But it can't be at the cost of your flow, because then you're being inauthentic. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. So who's next? What's present? What's your first memory about money? Tamu. Am I gonna have to call on people?
Okay. Um, let's see. I was thinking about how weird it was to wear my cousin's hand-me-downs. There were 2 sisters that were, a couple of years older than me. And, their grandmother like got things from Europe and stuff. So it was these strange clothes that nobody else wore in this, kind of working class, middle class town. And it was just weird to have these really rich, aunt and uncle. And they never came to our house. We always went to theirs. My cousin came once, thought it was very cute where we lived and what we did and stuff. So I don't know. I just kind of always had this strange relationship to money. Some of it's my lack of energy, being a single mom for 20 years and, um, wanting so much to be an artist and doing my art around the house and then trying to sell things too and not having the flow to the money where somebody would pay $250 for a children's quilt. I know there are people who will do that. I don't have access to those people.
Lisa, I mean, I've seen your quilts. Like, I would pay more than that. They're phenomenal. Like at least 1,500. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Yeah.
Even if they're not perfectly sewed, I'm not one of those quilters who doesn't make any mistakes. So it's finding the where, who, people who has money, or wants to buy it, that's my thing. And also technology, you know, to do it online. I'd much rather go to a fair and have people touch them and see them in person and that kind of thing. So, and then it feels like excuses if I don't. But you know, I mean, I'm not going to pay $800 for a table at the local KPFA fair and maybe sell one quilt. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I have not gotten over the hump. I've tried many different things, and you know, I kind of set my sights on having being in nature. Remember when we talked about that all those years ago?
Well, I have a few questions. Can I ask a few questions? Yeah. Okay. So you started talking. I feel like you started talking about, like, you were getting into it, and then boom, you traveled to the now present moment. But there's something there that I want to find out. Like, you went to the past and then jumped right into the current time. But there's something there that needs to be seen. So is it okay if I like, you know, scratch a little bit of the dirt from the ground to see what treasures we can find?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that you said was, so the question was, what is your first memory of money or wealth, right? Like, I want to make it more clear. When I talk about wealth or money, I want to make sure that we all know that I'm well aware that the monetary system right now hasn't worked. It was created for the benefit of some and not others, right? So let's get that clear. And at the same time, the monetary system, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe crypto will change that, but I'm not sure if we're going to see the end of the monetary system in at least my lifetime. So these conversations have to be had because we need to be able to heal our relationship with money as an energy and be able to thrive in the current system. Otherwise, the system has us instead of us using the system to create the lives we love, right? So I just want to make that clear. So when I ask about what is your first memory with money, it gives us access to understanding how that's showing up in your life now. And so it's really interesting with River. Her first memory was her parents arguing over money. So it was an energy of argument, of not enoughness, of you know, problems. And now what we see is that her customers, in a way, are arguing with her, maybe not like vocally and like it's not a heated argument. River, I'm talking about you. But they're not honoring what she says her prizes are, right? They're not honoring, and therefore that means that there's an energy of like argument. So you started, Lisa, sharing about that your first memory was getting hand-me-down clothing from your cousins, I think you said. And and you said a few details about this clothing, which was the clothing was from Europe, and it was, so not only was it hand-me-down, which there's nothing wrong with that. I go to thrift stores, right? But it was clothing that didn't make you feel good.
Yeah.
Didn't make you feel good. And for whatever reason, which is what now I want to ask, you had to wear it.
Yeah, I don't know. Did I? I don't know.
Well,
yeah, there was a lot of conflict in my family too. So my father came from that kind of wealth, you know, that his sister married into that wealth.
mm-hmm.
But his family had some too. And then my mother was the first one to go to college in her family. Her father was a chicken farmer and died when she was 16. My grandmother was a telephone operator, you know, so they came, and she wanted to be middle class. She became a teacher, and he was this genius engineer type person and didn't have any concept of money. So she was always trying to, you know, tamp him down. And he didn't have anything to do with, he just made money. He didn't do anything to, you know, she did the taxes and the bills and the, you know, she did all that. So, and I, you know, was into social change way back then. And it was wrong to have a lot of money, even though I really loved the way my cousins lived on their farm, you know, their gentleman's farm that we loved to go and play. And they had a vegetable garden and later a pool, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, so it's, you know, conflict in me.
Yeah, and remember what I said in my presentation, any time that we have conflict, we have lack of power. And so when we have lack of power, it's really hard to get the things that we want. And you just said something that's like, it was wrong. What did you, can you repeat that? You said, because I was committed to social change, it was wrong for me to have money.
Yeah, if, you know, if everybody can't have their needs met, why should I have more than my needs met? I've never missed a meal in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. So you've never missed a meal.
I mean, I've changed since back then because I want this $1 million piece of land that would serve many people.
Yes.
But I, you know, I can't buy that, you know, but I, you know, yeah.
So I just wanna, I just really wanna, I just wanna honor you, Lisa. I wanna honor you because being a single mom to two like geniuses that I, you know, love. One of them is one of my soulmates. I understand the amount of hard work you've done. So I want to honor that. And I also want to invite, I want to invite you to just look at a few beliefs that if you want to consider, right, they could be shifted and could cause profound transformation in your life. I personally don't believe that you yourself have to come up with $1 million.
No.
But I do believe that if you are not clear, like in full alignment, it's very hard for others to energetically support you in getting that. So there's a few things. One is, I heard you say, I can't get $1 million. So right there, there's like deep beliefs that
I don't have it to do that.
Yeah, but I want to remind you that you can, it is very possible for you to enroll others to support in the getting it with you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And the first step, so it's like we take little steps. Like this isn't about taking huge steps, but little steps, which is like, are you committed? Or you said that a lot of things have shifted, but are you committed to that? If I'm going to be for social change, I can't have money. Like, are you still committed to that?
No.
Good. Okay. Good. And are you still committed to that? As long as I have my needs met, I don't need anything else. And I'm going to just add my basic needs met. I don't need anything else. Are you still committed to that?
No, there's things, you know, there's things that I would like to be doing every day. You know, I'd love to give money. There's that whole thing. We should be wealthy so that we can be, you know, handing it out to people, you know, and I want to travel. I want to see the world. I want to, maybe, but I certainly want to live in nature where I can walk out my door and
Yeah.
go pick food and be part of a regenerative living with other people. And, yeah.
So I'm going to ask you one more question, which is, so if you have shifted your belief that I get to have more than just my basic needs met, how is that so when we know that we've healed the belief or trauma is when we can see it reflected in our reality, right? So if there was a trauma, a belief system that was like, I can only have my basic needs met and anything else I don't need to have, because why do I get to have more than others? Which was what you told me, right? I'm just repeating. So have you shifted that belief, and can you truly say I have, because my life reflects the shift? No. Okay. Okay. So if that is what's present, which is that your current reality is reflecting that you're only having your basic needs met, it means that there's deeper, very committed work to be done around the trauma of I only get to have my basic needs met, and it is wrong to have more than that. So whenever we think that something is wrong, that means that what we need to heal is some kind of shame around it. Like, so I would ask you, I mean, this is a deeper conversation, right? Like we would have to do like probably a few sessions, but I would ask you to look into what shame do you carry around like having more than enough? I always say I like to have more than enough to share. Like I'm happy with having luxury. I'm happy with having comfort. I'm happy having more than enough to share. Like I love it. It's fun for me. It's joyful. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem that I have, 6 figures in my bank account right now. It's a problem worthy of me, because now I have to figure out what to do with taxes and accounting, right? It's a problem worthy of me. I like those problems. I rather have those problems than, oh my God, I so wish I could, go to Brazil for this amount of time and I just can't because I don't have the money, or I wish I could have this land and it's only a dream because I don't have the money. So what I'm inviting you, Lisa, and Lisa, you got access to me. What I'm asking you is to do some really beautiful, sweet, compassionate, gentle work around the shame that you carry about having more than enough. Like, because there's that shame. There's a shame there, and that shame shows up and keeps you in this comfortable belief of that I just want to have my basic needs met, because your life is reflecting that, which means that there's work to be done. And if you do this work, I promise you, the beauty of this work is that if you do this work, you heal 7 generations forward. So you're healing Imani and Kati. You're like, this isn't just your work, right? And you're healing 7 generations back, like, the ancestor that had massive wealth that perhaps didn't use it in the most conscious way, right? You're healing that because wealth in your hands is going to be a beautiful thing to witness. Love you.
Love you too.
Mm-hmm. So Brooke, I see you.
Hi.
Hi.
I came in late, so I didn't hear your introduction. Would you mind telling me how you pronounce your name?
Sure. It's Xochitl.
Xochitl?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, let me think. I really resonated with, I came in right at the moment when you were talking about, how did you put it? It was like, um, this idea that there's something like glorified about poverty if you're sort of involved in social change work. And I don't know exactly what my first memory of money was, but like my mom was on welfare when I was little, and so we didn't really have very much money, but I do feel like we had like quite a lot of wealth in other ways. Like there was a lot of people around us, and like I had multiple different caregivers, and like there was a lot, and you know, like I was really encouraged to learn and play, and like there were lots of things that felt very well filled. But I also know that like I was often really jealous of friends who had like fancier toys or better clothes or like all of those kinds of things. So there's sort of yeah, like I guess I don't think I never really felt like I was like lacking, except in sort of like more luxury type stuff, I guess. Like I wanted a Nintendo when Nintendo came out, and like, you know, that kind of stuff, right? But we definitely didn't have very much money. And I know that was very stressful for her, um, and led to some difficult decisions for sure. And then like I spent a lot of time running around with a lot of anti-capitalists, and there's like a real that glorification of poverty thing, and that always felt kind of weird to me, um, because I had kind of like not wanted to be poor when I was, and but I sort of like uh, also kind of just like went with it because it was sort of the thing that you do, and because I kind of also believed that wealth was a bad thing and like capitalism was a bad thing, and you know, all of this kind of stuff. So I guess like I don't know, I feel now like
Yeah, where are you now?
I have, well, I mean, I run a business, and it's like, you know, pretty early days, but it's doing reasonably well, and I mostly feel okay about that. Well, I guess I feel torn about it. Like I feel partly okay about it because it's like a very socially conscious, socially minded kind of business, and so I feel fine about it. Whereas I know I wouldn't if I was just like, I don't know, doing something that didn't feel that way. Um, and I'm like I have this real block against like working sort of with corporate clients and stuff like that. Like I'm very, and then there is this sort of feeling of like wanting to apologize for my rate that I charge, or being very quick to lower my prices if I feel like someone wants that. Um, and I work with a lot of nonprofits, so there's like scarcity, a lot of sort of scarcity reality, and also scarcity mindset there. Um, and so I'm very quick to be like, you know, I know this might be a lot, and we can negotiate, and I sort of feel good about that, and then I also realize that I'm working too hard. Um, so yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at. But
Okay,
like I think like I'm moving toward feeling okay about money, but like not quite there yet.
got it.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you consult, or are you
Yeah,
offering?
I do like organizational change, conflict, sort of like somatic leadership
Mhm.
stuff,
Yeah, well,
organizational
it's really
healing.
interesting because two of my clients do similar work to you, and one of my clients is basically she just started her business, and through the 2 years that we've been working together, she's right now averaging around 35,000 a month. And I'm like amazed because she works with nonprofits. And
What?
yeah, and I'm just
What
like
nonprofits are these?
I I would have to ask, it's confidential. I would have
Of
to ask
course.
if I
Yeah,
could share.
totally. No, yeah.
But basically, nonprofits have money. It's just an attitude.
Yeah.
It's an attitude that nonprofits also have, right? So there is money. There is money. I've seen it, you know, because how can somebody be working with nonprofits and be averaging consulting 35,000 a month, right? So there's I just wanted to tell you that piece. Just, you know, this isn't really like part of your healing, but it helps because then you can have like a new perception that there are people working similar to what you do that I personally know that are making $35,000 a month, right? So I hope that opens a little bit of your perspective. And then what I want to just ask you is, so there's something there around, you said feeling embarrassed, feeling embarrassed, like, so quick, like you've noted. Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge you because you're good. You caught yourself, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that you've shifted it yet, but that's the first step, is that you caught yourself, like, quickly, like saying, okay, I can lower my prices even before anybody's even, like, no one's even talking about it, and you already like jump to the occasion and offer to lower your prices. So my question is, when people take you up on that offer of like, actually, yeah, can you lower your price? How does that feel in your body?
I feel resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I also know it's like, it's like, I also know that if I didn't offer that, I would feel greedy.
Woo! I should have my bell. Hold on. It's like we use, you know, in the Andean tradition, we use bells to call in spirits, to call our ancestors. So, but I always like using my bell because it's like, yes, ling-a-ling, like we got to the source. We got to the source, right? That's it. Do you see that? Like that is like, we just got there. You feel resentment.
Yeah.
But then you don't allow yourself to work with the resentment, because that's your work right there. Because you're like, well, I'm not gonna, like, you kind of push it away. You don't listen to yourself. You don't listen to your spirit. You push it away because, you know, at least I'm not greedy. So that doesn't allow you to heal what's really present in your spirit, which is, I deserve what I ask for. And I actually don't feel like lowering my prices. I feel like my prices are fair. I feel like my prices are fair. I do. I've had to do a lot of work to get there. But they're fair to the kind of lifestyle that I want to live. And they're fair to the kind of, you know, like, they're fair. I mean, I feel they're fair. Why? Because I decide so. I decide. I decide what's fair. It's my world. Right? And I also decide that if it's not fair to a certain community that I love and I want to serve, I will create fairness for that community by creating certain scholarships. So for example, if there is a nonprofit that you really want to work with, you can set aside like, okay, I'm gonna, once a month, I'm gonna take on a client that can't pay me what I want to earn, but it's gonna be like I just did a retreat for an organization, and they paid me 1/3 of what I usually charge. But I had them, basically, I gave 2/3 of my work as a gift to them. And I wrote it in an email, and I said, I'm giving you this gift. This is what I'm charging you. It was 1/3 of my rate, and I'm giving you this gift. So you can still do that and feel good about it. Like, and kind of like soften that part that also needs to get some work done, which is that part that's like, you're greedy. Right? So set that system up to support you, and like, do not, like, why, right? Why? That's it. Like, why are you lowering your prices even before anyone asks?
Mm-hmm.
When it causes you resentment. So it's not authentic.
Yeah. No, I know. I've known it's not authentic for sure. Like it's not, yeah. Um, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so the invitation is that, remember, I'm going to repeat it. When we are not in clarity, we're in confusion. And when we're in confusion, we're not in alignment. And when we're not in alignment with our spirit, with our being, we are out of power. So you're operating from a space where you are like lacking in your power. And it's not because your power isn't there, but it's because you are not cultivating it by having the clarity, which is, number one, like, I do not want to operate from a place of resentment. Therefore, I'm going to honor my prices, and I'm going to create a system that allows me to still support the nonprofits that I want to, but not at the cost of my flow.
Yeah.
And then we need to do, and this would be deeper work, but I'm going to just like invite you, like this whole thing about being greedy, right? So I'm going to connect it with your first experience of money, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So your first experience of money is you had so much to be thankful for, and at the same time you knew you were a kid, but you knew that there was a level of struggle because your mom was on welfare. So you were aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to look at that in a way brought you shame. Why? Because the words that came out of your mouth was like, I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
So you haven't been able to tackle that one, meaning like give it the love and the compassion and the gentleness to be like, oh, my little baby Brooke, my little girl Brooke, like she felt shame. And she couldn't, like, I haven't been able to allow her to heal that shame because I've had to be so grateful for all the other blessings that were around me. And so as an adult, see, our child mind cannot process all information. So when we're children, we can only process one way of being. So the way of being that you processed as a child was, I feel shame, but I can't feel shame because if I feel shame, it means I'm not grateful. So I'm only gonna be grateful. As an adult, you can process both. You can process that as a little kid, you experience shame, and you can acknowledge as an adult that there was so much to be grateful for. Like both can live simultaneously. And when you allow those two parts to live simultaneously, one doesn't take away from the other. And now you can start doing your shame work, which is trauma work,
Mm-hmm.
which is the shame of that there was there was a part of you that was ashamed that your mom had to be on welfare, and it was embarrassing to you. And so in a very loving and compassionate way, you gotta tend to that part. Because when you tend to that part, so now I'm going to link it, you won't be embarrassed about seeming greedy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because shame lives in one, it's like shame lives here, but it also lives here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're not greedy. There's a story to not get you to be present to the resentment and to the shame. So there's some beautiful work. There's some beautiful, loving, compassionate work to do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So we have 15 minutes. I don't know if you guys want to share. I don't know what that means. You go in my screen, one is on top of the other. So.
I'll take it. Yeah, thank you so much. This is really beautiful. I love the way that this space allows us to be so intimate and teach with each other through examples. Really powerful for me. So my first memory with money is getting my allowance in the car with my mama for the first time, I think outside of like Country and Cheese on San Pablo, and seeing this dark-skinned brother who was probably in his 30s, who was houseless, who lived nearby, like saw him around our house. And it was very clear. It was like an obvious choice to me. There was like not even any thought that went into it. As soon as I got that money in my hand, as we passed him on our way into the store, I gave him that money. And I imagine that my mama actually like gave me that money again because I gave it away. But that was the obvious choice. It was like, this dude looks like he needs it way more than me. My mama's taking me into the store and we about to get food and shit. So I should give this to him. And part of what I'm hearing in all this is the codependency of it. I can't imagine having it if you don't. And part of it is because like codependency and like I'm a tribal being, I'm built to be in community. So if you don't got it, it don't feel good if I don't have it, because if I got it, I want to give it to you so that we can all have it, because I don't want to be alone. And there's the like martyrdom of, if I get it, then because I have that feeling, I will be obligated to more responsibility, which I don't trust myself to hold well because it's too big of a responsibility the way that I have been holding it. So, yeah.
So how's that working out?
You know, it has when I am clear that I want to do something, and well, I've had periods in my life where like when I want to do something, life just fucking comes together and pays me really well to do it, and I'm lifted into a position of like, while learning, because it's something I'm excited about, I get to offer it. And the last like decade of my life, it hasn't quite worked the same way. And, you know, astrology tells me reasons about why that is. Like gentrification definitely like shook the foundation of my experience of happiness and deepened my sense of indebtedness and hatred towards systemic oppression. So like layers of trauma, I think, have kind of disconnected me from the ease that I experienced earlier in my life of like, I want to do this shit, let's do it. And then the universe is like, blah, here's $500 a day to do that shit. So right now it's a struggle. I'm like trying to really connect to how do I be authentically myself and connect to people where that's easy to do? Because that feels like what I want, where my service is useful. And I have a hard time connecting easily with people who have a bunch of money. So there is confusion and crossed desires. There's a like, I don't really want to deal with those motherfuckers. And then there's a like, yeah, the truth of my spirit is like, I am wealth. I am wealth. Like I am flow. Like I should be able to just whatever, whenever. Like that seems right to me. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, we've talked about this.
Mm,
I would invite you that there's decisions to be made.
yeah.
There's decisions to be made, right? And so when I say that, it's like we don't take action unless we make a decision. So our lives are one decision after another, after another, after another. So before our decision comes choice, right? So you're clear, like you're clear about your choice. Like you're like, I choose to like moments of abundance and being fully supported by the universe, you know, $500 a day. And I also choose moments where I'm not in alignment with that because I'm in alignment with the struggle and um, that, like you called it out, you know, that codependency of like, well, if they can't, my community, you know, my folks can't have it and they're in struggle, then why should I not be in struggle too? Right? So we have the first part, which is choose. And so you are choosing sometimes simultaneously, right? Like two different things that contradict themselves. And then your decisions are based on your choices. So when I say is like it's time to decide, it's because it's like that story. I don't know if you guys have heard it. I'm not sure exactly what nation it comes from, but it's from North America, from native peoples of this land. And it talks about the story of two wolves, right? And then so one wolf is full of rage and and jealousy and also deep sadness. And the other wolf is one wolf of love and compassion and community and abundance and prosperity. And they're fighting. And you know, this elder is with a young man and the young man is like, well, which wolf is gonna win? And the elder says, whichever wolf you feed. So you've got two wolves and you have to make a decision. Like it's a decision that you have to make every day as if it is a spiritual practice, even if the two wolves are always within you. Because I know that they are. And they each have their own wisdom that they come with. That's what makes you so genius and magical. And yet you have to choose. Like you must decide which wolf are you going to feed. And from there, life will unfold. And it, you know, and I would even make it easier. Like if you really want to feed the wolf, right? That's like, I must be in the struggle, or I must be in my community and just not have more than what I need, right? Not have more than my basic needs, because that will mean that I am in the struggle, shifting and creating social justice. And you can feed that wolf, But maybe you can feed that wolf and just like dedicate your life to like be a monk. Like, all right, I'm gonna do this 100%. And or you can feed the wolf of like, the universe supports me, and and I want to choose to be fully supportive, and that I'm going to be supported, and all the money and all the wealth that comes, it's only for the good. And what I would do is, why don't you just give yourself 6 months to choose which wolf you will feed? Start with 6 months, like, all right, for the next 6 months, like, this is the wolf that gets the food. You know, in little steps, right? You don't have to choose it for the rest of your life. You can be a monk after the 6 months. Like, I'm tired of this luxury and wealth. I'll just be a monk again and fight for social change and only have my very basic needs met. That's okay. It's like nothing is wrong here. It's just like, what brings you most joy? For me, what brings me most joy is to have wealth that I could like buy land. Oh my God, this year I'm actually gonna think like, I'm actually gonna buy land if I want to. That brings me joy. That heals generations of my peoples. Yeah, of course we should all get our land back. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but in the meantime, I'm gonna buy it back. So, which wolf will you feed, Imani?
I mean, you know, the way that I work is like, well, the wolf that's all angry and shit is probably angry because they're not getting fed. And so, like, I'm not going to feed them so that they bring me more angriness. I'm going to feed them so that they calm the fuck down. So I got two compassionate ass, abundant ass wolves. So for me, it's like what brings me joy is like actually loving myself in a way that allows me to trust what I will do with the access, with the resource, with the connections, with the responsibility, so that that can come and I can be available for it. And when it comes, I am doing the things that make me feel good, both to my responsibility, to all of my relations, and to the spirit that wants to feel in flow, that wants to feel free, that wants to have access to what I want and need, and that wants to be able to seed worlds that I see wanted and needed, that I resonate with. Yeah, and so I like imagine myself feeding the compassionate wolf, and then the compassionate wolf like shared half of their dinner with the angry wolf, and that chilled out the angry wolf.
And can I offer just one little thing that
Yeah,
you can take it or leave it?
yeah, please.
It's a lot of work that you have been doing, and I think it's powerful. And also, I just want to remind you that there is also a supportive way, which is there's a little struggle once again with the wolf whenever, just to watch, right? Whenever you're like, am I going to be responsible enough? Is money in my hands actually going to benefit the community? Is money in my hands actually going to be good for the earth? I'm just like generalizing it because there's definitely more details, right? But for the sake of time. So there's a little like battle right there with the wolves that happens. Even in those conversations, that takes a lot of work for you to like put the wolves into the compassionate space of calm. So the gift, or the, you know, the alternative, or the supportive way would be to just decide, like I said, for the next 6 months, I am allowing Pachamama, the universe, source, to support me with my highest, most beautiful dreams. And I know, because I'm surrendering it to the highest care, that all the monies coming into me, coming into my existence, are only going to be for the good of all. So it's kind of like a little bit of like letting those wolves rest, and just like making that prayer and trusting that that prayer will be so. because that allows you to rest, because you do a lot of work. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And whenever we have a lot of work, we don't have a lot of play. And so I'm all for play. I'm all for pleasure, healthy pleasure, right? That honors our bodies. And because in play and pleasure, we heal trauma. A lot of work can also be part of the trauma. So to bring that ease, you can do it with spirit, and that will allow for more play, for more joy, and play and joy allow for way more wealth to come in. That's been my experience. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I want to honor our time together. It's 6:28. I can stay a little longer. Maybe, I don't know if you want to keep recording. It's really also up to Tavi if you want to share. I'm here for it, and everyone's welcome to stay. I hope that one of the things that I forgot, because I got so excited about the slide presentation, is that whenever I do this work, this is all medicine for everyone. Like, there's no accidents that each and every one of you, even the listeners that are going to come and listen to this, this is the perfect, we are like planets that are showing up here. And this is the most perfect constellation for this healing to happen. So there's no accidents that Lisa shared what she shared, that Brooke shared what she shared, what River shared what they shared, right? Amani. So thank you for being here. You were all medicine for each other, and just I want you to just take in each of the medicine that you all brought. And so we're gonna close out because I know Lisa's got to go, but I'm gonna stay, and it's up to the moderators if they want to pause on the recording, or if he's actually down there, or if Tavi wants a turn. So we love you, Lisa. We sent you off, and I'm here in the Bay. By the way, I have some programming. I'm leaving the Bay for teacher residence, but if you're interested, I do a cacao ceremony where we go deeper into this. It's happening, I think it's happening this Saturday. If not, it's happening next Saturday. I have to check. My assistant keeps my calendar. And I also have a earth medicine walk, which is incredible, and it's all about bringing abundance. So thank you, everyone. Yay. So I'm staying, Amani and Tavi.
And maybe River.
Beautiful. There we go.
Okay, you get the intimate.
It got real intimate. All right. Oh, goodness. That's so chill.
Hi. How has this been for you?
It's really beautiful to witness folks share their stories, share their first memories around money. It's interesting. I've been doing a lot of work around abundance, especially over the last yes, around after my mother passed. There's a lot in here. I have a lot of story when it comes to wealth and abundance, money. I've definitely had a very ascetic lifestyle. Have lived like a monk for my adult life, and definitely came up in a household, in a family that didn't have a lot of money. But it's interesting, I've always had what I needed and had more. And so like I've traveled the world and not really had money in the bank. Kind of somehow all spirit, like Pachamama, voodoo, like they bring me what I need and often a little more. And it doesn't often come in the form of like, I got 100 G's in the bank. What I'm gonna do with it? It's usually like, I got a plane ticket. I got a luxury yacht. I got first class. I got, you know, there's ways in which, yeah, wealth has always felt like someone else carried it and then was taking care of me. My first memory of money is going to the store. It was, I think I was around 3, and it was me and other kids. And so it's like me, 3, Randy was probably 5, Kinshasa was probably 7. And we would like be given money and we would be sent to the store. And we would like get what we needed. And I remember being able, like I always knew if I got certain things, like I knew how to count pretty well. And I knew what I was supposed to get back. And it was always like, it was a journey, and we always come back with like, you get what you want. It's like, oh, I get a bag. You could get a big bag of like goodness from going to the store. And I knew we were in poverty. Like at that point, we were like struggling pretty well. Like I remember like their home, Randy and Shasa's home, being in some of the worst parts of Oakland and like being overrun with pests. And that wasn't my home. My mother always kept the house like pretty immaculate where we lived. What didn't matter where it was. But the feeling of like having, it's like have enough, but it was never really enough. Like I always knew my mother felt like she was struggling. And that was true for most of my life. And I would say in a similar way as Amani, as I got older, and then I had the capacity to make money, one of my first memories of like, oh shit, I could make money was like, I was still in college. It was like in my like 3rd semester of college. And I started doing trainings on like social justice, teaching white folks about oppression, and like leading kind of those type of conversations. And I made, I don't know, like $400 in like 3 hours the first time. And then it happened again. And it happened again. And I had this moment of like, damn, I make more money in a couple hours than my mom's makes in a week. It's like, oh shit. You know, something in that and in the work itself that if maybe I feel like I turned away pretty like firmly. And since I turned away from like from that, it's kind of like I always make pretty decent money in that way in like hours, but I've never I don't often pursue. I don't like turn toward it. And this has been true now for shit, almost 20 years.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with anything, right?
Yeah, I heard that too.
It's just what you want.
Yeah.
You know, like I was telling Amani, like, you want to be a monk, be a monk. But that's not what you really want. So you've been living in many ways like the urban monk lifestyle of like things come and you get taken care of. And there was something there that that shifted the energy of like, wait, there's something wrong here, which is I'm making more money in a few hours than my mom makes in a week. And so that experience created something in the now moment with wealth and money. So before I invite you to see what I'm seeing around that, I need to know, like, what do you want? Because it seems like, I mean, it's been working so far. You get to travel where you want, you know.
Where I want, you know, it's.
I don't know though.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, because I no longer like, I mean, I've roughed it. I've roughed it when I've traveled and I've really enjoyed it. But I've also traveled with a partner that was extremely wealthy, and that I really also enjoyed. Right. So how I identify having wealth is having choice.
It's choice. It's about choice.
It's about choice.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't need to be buying a Tesla at the moment. I'm gonna wait a few years till like I have at least 500,000, right, in the bank. Not a choice, but could I choose it right now? I could go to the store today. I looked at Tesla prices and buy a Tesla, but it would be like the worst financial decision because I'd rather invest in crypto and gold and land. That's you know. So everything works. There's nothing wrong. You're fine.
Yeah.
But what do you want?
It's choice. I'll share that there's a few times, I'm noticing it all feels very wrapped up at this point. It's wrapped up in my body, it's wrapped up in pleasure, it's wrapped up in boundaries and choices. And like recently I've noticed some like pattern of the like, what do I want energy? Like I'm so used to kind of giving way to others that I don't. Over the years, I've been tracking recently that like when I set like really major boundaries that have to do with me, money actually comes in, and like just will go out of nowhere. It will just like appear. It was just like, oh shit, I don't even know what to like. It feels similar to what Amani was speaking to of like I know I am flow. I know I am like power. And what I really want is to like be like located in my power. Like to place myself in my power and be able to access what I want to need at any given moment.
Okay, so would that mean, for clarity, right? Would that mean that, like for me, how I can act, like my power is accessible whether I have money or not. And right, you know, I've had to handle my father's health condition and bring him into the US and handle everything for him medically, right? So I felt very empowered that I got money in the bank and we can make this happen. Yeah. Right? Like paying a ridiculous amount of rent, you know, on a place. It's amazing. But I've never had to pay that much rent ever. So it's empowering.
Yes.
It's empowering for me when I have at least $50,000 in the bank. Is that my source of power? No, it isn't. But I'm clear. I'm clear that I want to have at least $50,000 in the bank, savings minimum. I'm clear. It used to be 8,000. I've just upped it. because I am playing a bigger game,
Yes.
right? So I feel like there's something there around that I would want you to explore in that moment where you had the realization of like, wow, I'm making more than my mom makes in a week in a couple of hours, that disconnected you to the level of clarity that you need to have in order to create the choice that you want to have. So I'm going to repeat that because it's big for you. Is that okay?
Yes.
And then I'm going to allow you to ask questions. I'm going to explain. I'm going to like dissect it with you.
Okay.
So there was a moment, it was a trauma that you probably didn't process. It was traumatic for you to realize that your mom had been working so hard. One of the things that you said that was really beautiful is like, no matter how other people's houses were, like your house was spotless. That talks to me about a mother that worked hard.
Always the best food. Like
Yep.
whatever, like work hella hard.
Yep.
And like was like,
Made
food
miracles.
is important. I'm gonna make sure that we have the best shit on the table.
Exactly.
Like
She
what the
created miracles.
like,
Yeah. She created miracles. So you had a high level of respect for your mom, high level. And then here you are making money at like a crazy speed, really, compared, not crazy to me.
no, not that. It wasn't that crazy.
Not
It wasn't
crazy.
that crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
No.
crazy.
No.
Crazy to a trauma, right? Why? Because what is trauma? It happened too fast. It's too big, right? So trauma is an event that like it was too much, too fast, right? For us to process. And so at that moment, you didn't realize, but there was a trauma when you like, you're like, whoa, I'm making more money in a couple of hours than my mom in a week. And I hold my mom in high reverence. And it's traumatic on so many levels that somebody like my mom hasn't been able to do what I'm doing right now. And so that trauma makes you like I can't organize myself to have that level of clarity where from this moment on, I'm only going to make $400 an hour or 3 hours. See, because what happens is when we don't have this trauma. So right now I'm making, I have a program and it's 7,500 for 6 months. I just raised my rate 1,500 because I wanted to. And so I'm making, I think it's 275 an hour, right? So from like every time I raise my rates, I make a decision that I'm not making anything less than that. So my hour is, if you buy my hour, just 1 hour, it's 350. But if you pay me for 6 months of 26 hours that we're going to share together, I give you a discount and it's 276, but you got to pay me up front, right? So something in my body I've healed that like every time I decide what my hourly rate is, I don't go lower. And if I do, I have a system, which is like, okay, it's under a scholarship or it's, I'm gifting you this, right? Like right now, I don't know how many hours, this is a gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but you had a moment where you could have been like, so $400, I don't know, how much did you make an hour? Like You said $400
Yeah, it was
or 2
it was
hours?
like the Peace Corps. It was 3 hours. They like cut me a
Okay,
check
so
for like
$400
4.
divided into 3, that's 133 an hour. So if you wouldn't have had that moment of trauma, at that moment, you would have decided, I am never working for less than $133 an hour.
And
And you
it
would have,
seemed like I could. At that moment, there was a clear like, oh shit, like this is,
it was a decision.
yeah.
Yeah. But you weren't able to make that decision because there was that trauma that you weren't able to look at, because that trauma brought you some shame. It was deep. It was the shame of like, why can't my mom, and this is just an invitation for you to consider, right?
Yeah.
Why couldn't my mom make that much money? So there's like a personal shame about your mom's inability. There's a personal shame of like, who am I to deserve this? Right? When I have such high reverence for someone. There's also like an anger of like, fuck the system.
I was pissed. I was fucking like,
Yeah. So there's
heated.
anger. So
Yeah.
it's layered, right? You weren't even aware of that moment until we brought it up right now. But that moment made you decide that you weren't going to commit to an hourly amount, nor you were also not going to commit to clarity around money. So then therefore you were like, well, I'm just going to let the universe take care of me, which is bomb. And I mean, I think that we can have it both. Like, I mean, all my monies, their spirit, they're coming straight from the source. I have a deep relationship with spirit and money. My money doesn't come from my clients. My money comes from source. My clients are the channel. Therefore, I don't build a codependency with my clients. I'm not like, no, you have to keep on working with me. No, because spirit is my source of money. Somebody else is going to come. Another client's going to come that will be my channel through that flows. So I'm just explaining to you that you haven't made the decision because you haven't healed this specific moment, which caused a great trauma into how you operate. And so you've exceeded and have become in many ways an expert of surrendering to the flow of receiving through spirit. And now it's time to also heal this other part. So you've healed, it's almost like you've healed the masculine, now you need to heal the feminine. So the masculine is the ether, right? It's intelligence, but it's like through source. The feminine is like mother matter.
Of course.
I want $50,000 in my savings account minimum, and I want gold and crypto and land. I mean, I'm Pachamama's favorite daughter. Like, I get to have it. I just bought some gold and I was like, wow, a dream come true. I never thought that I like had that dream, but I actually did. And I just walked into a store and was like, give me $10,000 of gold. Whoa. I just broke some generational like trauma right there with money forever.
And
And I
that's
bought
the,
some
like
gold.
specific
bought-
in return.
What? Yeah. I got my gold back. And I got my dad some gold. He was with me and I was like, what you want, crypto or gold? I like on the spot. And he was like, gold. I was like, okay, I'll buy you gold. But that I mean, those are the conversations I want to have. You know, I'm gonna like Amani, I'm gonna be like, what you want, crypto or gold? You know? They're fun conversations to me. Next conversation is like, what piece of land do you want? Over here or over here? And you can have it all, Tavi, but do you see how this trauma has kept you from that?
I mean, yeah, it's been one that I've carried. I've seen it. I've like for many years, I will just say that the choice to do nothing felt like the choice that needed to happen. And then at some point, it began to feel no longer like a choice, but like habit. And at this point, it's just like, what the fuck? What the fuck is going on? Like, how did I dig this hole specifically?
Well, we do
And
that.
yeah, we do. I mean,
You just
now
have
my like,
passion. But
now
now
the
you know.
astrologers tell me it
Now
was
you
meant to be.
know. Yeah, now you know the hole. And now it's like, okay, well, I don't need to be in this hole. Really, you don't. You don't. And it's a choice. And it's practical choice. The practical choice is that you got to get clear with money, because you got to get clear with what you want and be okay with wanting it. Because part of that trauma made you not okay with wanting the things you wanted. And so the healing is going to come not from doing nothing. It's going to come when you write in your journal, like, I need to have at least, I don't know, whatever the amount is. Everybody's different, right? My amount only like 2 years ago was 8,000. I was like, as long as I have 10,000, I feel good. Now I'm like, no, 50,000 feels, yeah, I want that. So whatever that amount, like, you don't, it doesn't have to be like, as long as I have 1 million, like, no, like, let's start baby steps. Like, whatever the amount, be clear about it. Allow yourself to be clear about it. That's the healing. That's the healing for you. Be clear about it. Be clear that I only make $133 an hour minimum. Be clear about it. Own it. You healing your mom. Like, you're not going to fight the system by not allowing that clarity to come. Like, then that means the system's got you. That anger, like, system that would fucking keep doing this shit to our people. Like, okay, but then I put myself in that position.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like, fuck the system by getting wealthy. Because money in your hands is good for the community and the earth.
Yes. Yes. You know, I have so many questions for myself, probably many questions for you as well. Mm. Mm.
Well, just make me some good food and I'll come over.
That's a promise already. That's done deal. You tell me what you want, I can make it.
Okay. I don't know what did you just, what is this? I don't know. He was showing me something.
Lots of notes. The
Oh,
question.
you took notes.
like-
Oh, the question. Okay. Well, I love you guys. I have to eat dinner. I've had a full day without food. So
Yeah,
thank
same.
you for having me.
Thank you
so
for
much.
generous gifts.
Yeah.
Perfect timing for the resourcing moon. I'm experiencing all of our teachers this moon as like exactly what we need to turn D4D into the thing that we need it to be. It's amazing. It's fucking great. So thank you for helping us lift this thing into a sustainable way as we do that for ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, you both are like, at least I don't know you, Tavi, but what I hear, you both are like phenomenal coaches. There's no reason why this program, I mean, it should be making really good money.
Yeah.
I get the system that it's like, free and donation. I get that, but you also gotta have like other offerings too. Like packages that you offer. Like, okay, you can come at this package and then you can come at this package. I don't see that package very clearly.
This is all about the clarity. I heard you say clarity over and over again. It was like,
Clarity,
yup.
clarity. Clarity is power.
Mhm.
Hey, for real. Okay, I heard you say very clearly you needed to eat.
Yes.
You've already given us an extra 30 minutes. Thank you.
Just one thing is so to be connected to money, this was like blew my mind and it shifted everything, and it's something I'm still working on, like still. So when we want to have a spiritual practice with money, it means that we are clear with money, which means like our accounting is clear. We know how much we have in the bank, how much debt we have. Like we keep accounting, we keep our receipts, we understand the movements of it. We become powerful expert managers.
Mhm.
When we are in vagueness with money, we are not in spirit with it. So that's why I've been talking about clarity and clarity and clarity and clarity, because clarity is power. And so I don't even know, like, I think I was telling Money, like, I don't even know how it happened, but last year was my first 6-figure year.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? Right? Like, and this year, I'm for sure, like, I have no doubt it's already 6 figures. In the last 2 months, I've made 6 figures just in the last 2 months, telling my 2 retreats. So I have no doubt that it's going to be another 6-figure year, but I'm calling in being a millionaire, and I don't even know how that's going to happen. Like, I didn't know how the 6 figures is going to happen. Of course I have strategies and stuff, but like, so that's clarity. And to feel okay about saying that, like, I'm okay with being a millionaire. I'm okay with being a millionaire. Money in my hands is good for the earth and good for community. So yeah, clarity is power. I love you.
Love you too.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Xochitl.
of course. Bye.
Enjoy dinner. Love to Pops.
Thank you.
Yee. Who's next?
Who's next?